Hey guys, what's up? My name's Art, and I'm returning for another video. I just got back home from work, and it's like 12:30 in the afternoon. Um, well, after I did the video last night, I said I want to go to bed. Last video I talked about the coronavirus, and of course, everybody, every day, everybody gets updated what's going on with that, and that's all I had to say about it. But now. So naturally, I try to go to sleep. Didn't sleep much. Funny thing is that I was doing my work. I was listening to a podcast, and I passed out for about 40 minutes or so. So I caught up on some sleep. Not enough, but that's okay. All right. So without further ado, I want to talk about this book, X-Men: God Loves, Man Kills. Now, hold on. I knew it. Some of you may have heard this story before. Okay, and the reason why you've heard it before, because it was this movie right here, X2, X-Men United. Basically, it features a guy named Stryker, who has a part of Wolverine's past. If you saw Wolverine's origins, Stryker was like a middle-aged man. This is when he was an older man. And he basically wrecked the X-Men apart and tries to kill all mutants. Okay? This movie was loosely based off of this book. Haven't seen this in a while because I got this on Blu-ray. But now, here's the thing. A brief story about the X-Men. Years ago, in the 60s, Stan Lee came with a great idea to talk about racism. Because in the 60s, racism was a big thing, especially with the civil rights movement. So if you were a writer and you want to talk about racism without putting it as racism, but have elements in it, you create a comic book called X-Men, which is have mutants. Mutants are humans who are born with powers. And guess what? The world hates them. They hate them because they're mutants. They're not humans. And that's the current theme throughout all the X-Men storylines, even today. The world hates them because they're mutants. They don't care if you're black or white or what. If you're a mutant, they hate you. Humanity hates you. That's the idea. So what happened is this guy named Stryker, in this book right here, spoilers, I will talk about what happened in the book. Now, thing is, this guy, he hates mutants. So what happens is he becomes a reverend, like a religious person, and technically almost destroys all the X-Men. And the funny thing about it, he's using his charisma as a speaker, and sometimes it kind of unnerves certain people, and a lot of other people like, hey, something's wrong, especially the X-Men. And X-Men and their arch nemesis Magneto join forces to fight this guy. And this guy's a human. What happened is he created this people called the Purifiers, and they're armed to the teeth with technology and stuff like that. He takes out Professor X with a missile, captures Professor X, Storm, and Cyclops, brainwashes Professor X to create a device to destroy all mutants. Kind of like what happened in this movie. So if you saw this movie, you kind of read this book. Kind of. Now, the funny things about this book, this is one of the best selling stories of X-Men of all time. I'll say if you've been reading X-Men for like 12, past 30 years, this book is one of the top 10. One of the top 10 stories. Marvel.com did an article recently of the top 10 X-Men stories. This was a part of it. Now, the thing about this book is very, very wordy. Lots of dialogue. And the dialogue helps the story along. And sometimes it kind of slows the story a little bit just to explain it and sets everything up. And it's very, very wordy. Very wordy. That's why it took me like 2 weeks to fit. Normally, some books I could just read it because it's very simple writing. I could just blow through it. But this was so wordy. It took me 2 weeks to read this. And this book's only 70 pages. That kind of tells you something. But in the end, what happened was one of the mutants, her name was Shadowcat or Kitty Pryde, basically stands up to Stryker, and Stryker points a gun, and the police officer shoots her dead. Because even though this girl has powers, she's an unarmed girl. He didn't like that. He didn't care these girls were mutants. He just liked the fact that this guy was going to shoot an unarmed girl, and he shoots him dead in front of live camera TV, and lets some X-Men go, and they learn a valuable lesson. One of the weirdest things about this book, and I thought it was pretty funny. Crap. Let me talk about a book that has lots of words in it, and the print is very small. Can Art see? See, Art decided to make a video without being properly prepared because he was so much in a hurry to do this. Now Art can see. And let's see, where is it? One of the scenes is about this lady. I forgot what her name was. I don't even know how she even came about the story. Kitty Pryde basically says, because Kitty Pryde is Jewish, and of course, people always believe Jewish people are racist against Jews, because especially the Nazis and all stuff. And she basically says to this girl right here, what if someone called her a N lover? And they actually put it down. I was like, now I read this 30 years ago, and I'm like, damn. I was like, holy shit, that was hardcore. And guess what? When I read it a couple weeks ago, I'm like, damn, this shit is hardcore. Let me show it to you. Okay, that's if you want to pause it for a little bit, you can see. But there's a big story along that lines that comes out with that phrase. And the funny thing is, and now to most people, to people in today's society, see, when I read this when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's about racism. Okay, but today's society, oh my God, the guy who wrote this is racist because he wrote the word now. No, it's used to show a point. One, mutants are hated. People hate them. They're racist against mutants. So, and that's why the X-Men fight for humanity, to show them that, hey, we're just like you. Same thing, kind of like how civil rights movement was say, hey, I may be black, you may be white, but I'm just like you. But a lot of people still think of people like me as property. Because back then, in the past, even though we were born the same way as everybody else, and we lived the same way, slightly different. I mean, tell you the truth, they call us savages, but the thing is, if you live in a country where the average temperature is like 90 to 100 degrees every day, Do you think I'll be sporting? Do you think I'll be wearing this, something like this? No, I'll be sporting a loincloth like a lot of other people. And then again, also, back in the day, they were considered themselves savage as well. But this, like I said, if you want tell you the truth, this is a really good book. I recommend it. I only paid $15 for it. I only paid $15 for it. So it's a good read, but it's very wordy. So if you want to pick it up, it's very, very wordy. Very wordy. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but it just shows you how somebody would think that they're superior to other people. And it's not blatantly saying these people are racist kind of thing. They use the idea of racism to create a narrative story. And a lot of books, especially X-Men books in the 80s to early 90s, use that specifically. Then also they got away from all that. But anyway, if you read this book or read the story years ago, let me know in the comments. Let me know your take on this. Or if you want to read it and tell me whether or not this is a good book or not. It's one of the best, to me, it's one of the best 10 X-Men stories of all time. Maybe not one of the best 10 Marvel stories of all time, but probably one of the top 100 Marvel stories out of this 80-year history. So with that, I'm going to go on and relax for the rest of the day. Maybe read another book, because I'm kind of behind on certain things. I do need to eat. I had a muffin for breakfast. I know it's very nutritious having a muffin, but I was kind of late for work. And so with that, God love, man kills. If you don't want to read that, if you don't want to read it, just watch this movie. It's kind of basically the same thing. But this movie does take some liberties because it's technically, in my opinion, the Hugh Jackman show. Or the Wolverine show. But otherwise, talk to you guys later. Have a great day and stay safe. Hey.